Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zoe and I'm so happy that you clicked on today's video. Welcome to my monthly wrap-up, the first one of 2024 officially. This is my January wrap-up and I am so excited for today because I had the best reading month in January, not necessarily in quantity, but in quality. The books that I read were just insane. They were so good. So I'm just so excited to get right into it. I did read 7 books in January. I meant to finish the 8th, but then I got really busy at the end of the month. Life happens, you know? But the 7 that I did read, let me get my little list, were just so incredible. So I'm gonna get right into it, tell you what I read in January. Starting with what I kicked my year off with, it was just the most perfect way to start my year. I read The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, and oh my gosh, you guys, this book was just insanely good. It is the follow-up to The Cheat Sheet. This follows Derek and Nora. Derek is one of the players of the LA Sharks. He plays with Nathan from the first book. I don't want to spoil anything because it doesn't come out until April, but this book was just perfect. It was so Taylor and Travis coded. So if you're like a sports romance girly, perfect. If you like Taylor and Travis, even better, because it's so good. It's so them, and I just loved it so much. Sarah Adams never fails to amaze me. As you would know if you've seen my videos, I just adore her so much. And I'm so happy that I got to read this book early, and I cannot wait to have the physical copy in my hands and be able to read it again. It was just incredible. Moving on to the second book that I read in January, I really kicked this year off in the best way possible. I read 2 arcs, 2 of my most anticipated books of the year. I next read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And I'm trying still, almost a month later, to gather my thoughts and my words for this book. Again, don't want to say too much. It doesn't come out until later on. But it's so good. It's so good. If you know anything about me, I love Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. It's one of my favorite romances of all time. One of my favorite books from 2023. But somehow, this book was better. It was somehow better than Yours Truly. Of course, nobody will ever come between like my love for Jacob and Bree from Yours Truly, but like this one, something about it just tugged my heartstrings and made me absolutely fall in love, head over heels for the characters, the story, everything about it. And it was just incredible. And there's so much I want to talk about, but I absolutely can't because it will spoil it, and I'm not going to be that person. But all I can say is you guys all need to read The Rule Book and Just for the Summer when they come out, because they are just absolute magic. They're just incredible. So I gave both of those 5 stars, if you were wondering. I feel like that's pretty obvious. Moving on, I listened to mostly A Court of Frost and Starlight. That's what it's called. That's the title. Because I am working my way through ACOTAR. I listened to quite a few audiobooks while I was working because my Barnes & Noble was moving during January and we just had a lot of time to listen to music or whatever. So I was doing some audiobooks and I did listen to this one. Could I tell you anything that happened in it? No, if I'm gonna be so honest, like I don't know what happened in this book and I don't really care. Yeah, I'm not a fan of ACOTAR so far. I'm really just reading it just to say that I finished the series. And I just need to go read a summary of this book because I don't even know. So I'm not even gonna rate it because I feel like bad because I just don't remember. Like I read it and then immediately forgot about it. Next, I read a book that I personally just loved so much. I read Solitire by Alice Oseman. Let's try and get that glare to go away. This is such a special book to me. I love Alice Oseman, adore everything that I've read, and this one was no exception. It is about Tori Spring, who is Charlie's sister from Heartstopper, and Nick and Charlie do make a good amount of appearances in here, which I loved so much. But this one really is not a love story or a Nick and Charlie story. It really follows Tori coming of age, kind of grappling with a lot of depression and some negative feelings about life, and it's really heavy and hard to read at times, but there were some moments where she would just, like, it would be brought to her attention that she's alive and she's living and how great that is. And I feel like in such a dark, upsetting, deep book, there were so many moments of hope that it was just really beautiful, and I really adored this one. I really enjoyed it, and I feel like it was one of those books that really reminds you you're not alone. So I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 5 stars. Next was another audiobook. I listened to The Woman in Me by Britney Spears, again while I was working, and this one, all I can say is Britney is a warrior, man. Britney went through so much more than like I ever knew. And it was just so crazy to hear her story and hear what her life has been like, and then to see her get through all of it and persevere and come out of it stronger than ever and be living her life again. Like, I am just so happy for her. And it was so heartbreaking to hear what her life has been like and that her family treated her the way that they did. And it was really sad, but it was also just amazing. And I love Brittany and I respect her so much more than I ever did. And I respected her a lot in the first place. And I really, really enjoyed that one. I don't rate memoirs because I just feel like it's not my place to rate somebody's life story, but I did really like it and I would recommend it. Next, I read another book that I loved so much. I did a buddy read for this one with my friend Chloe. I read The Good Part by Sophie Cousins, and this book was just perfect. It was so good. This one is about a woman in her 20s and she's kind of roughing it, not really enjoying life. She's really unhappy because just so many hardships are being thrown her way until she finds a wishing machine and she wishes to be in the good part of her life, whatever that may be later on when she's not dating, she's not having all these hard things happening anymore. And the wish does come true, but then it kind of follows her realizing that being in this good part of her life is simultaneously beautiful and amazing, but also really sad and heartbreaking. And it's kind of her just learning that life is beautiful no matter where you're at. And I thought it was just such a great lesson to learn. That's kind of why I wanted to read it in January, was because I figured it would teach me a good life lesson, and it most definitely did. I've thought about it since I read it and I could not recommend it enough. I gave it 4.75 stars just because I wish the end was a little bit longer, but it was so good, so special. And then finally, I read one last book in January. I read Falling by TJ Newman. This one I had heard really good things about, and I was like, sure, let's read it. It's a thriller about a plane that gets hijacked, and I thought it sounded really interesting, kind of scary, kind of stressful, and it was all of those things. It was interesting, it was stressful, it was scary. I think this book made me realize a little bit that I'm kind of not in my thriller era right now, because I did just feel kind of bored with it a lot. But the last 100 pages, let me tell you, I could not put it down. It was so crazy, the last 100 pages. I needed to know what was happening. I was reading every single chance I got on my breaks at work, when I got home, the second I woke up. Like, I just needed to know what happened. And for that, I think the end really redeemed it for me. So I gave this one 3.75 stars. It was not perfect because, again, it was pretty boring in the beginning, but also that could just be me not enjoying thrillers the same way that I used to. I don't know, but I would recommend it just because it was a wild story. The end was really good and I enjoyed it, which was surprising because I did almost DNF it a couple times, but that's why I stick it out. That's why I can't DNF books. It's such an issue. Anyway, those were the 7 books that I read in January. I, again, really loved all of them. I feel like it was such a strong way to start the year and I'm so happy with it. I was hoping to read like 8 to 10 books, but I'm not even mad about it because the books were such good quality. So I hope you guys read some good books in January. I would love to hear your favorite book because, as you know, I am always searching for new books to read. And if you want to be friends, all of my socials will be linked down below. And if you want to like, comment, or subscribe, that would help me so much. So thank you so much for watching the video. I'm so thankful for all of you guys, and I will see you in the next one.